Hi there again today. You'll have to excuse my voice. I've just had like a 24-hour flu thing. So on Christmas Day it was okay, and then Boxing Day, not good. But I'm kind of better now, so that's why my voice is a bit croaked up. Okay, so this is the third part of the imaginary city thing with the cable car stuff. So as you can see, I've developed the 3D structure in the 3D model in 3dsmax. Let's do a rotate there. So you've got just made it through poly modeling, just getting a cube, spherifying it so it was all quadrilaterals, then taking stuff away, extruding this lip, hollowing it out, shelling it so it had a solid interior, that sort of thing. So just basic modeling. But from that you can get some quite good, structures and stuff. And these pods are modeled from, they're not modeled there, excuse me, they are from some photographs of the Expo 70 cable cars, and they were inspired from that, so I wanted to give a kind of retro feel. It's part of my 3Z Cities of Imagination universe. Just take that down. So then I took, ow, that's a bad headache. Sorry, just got like like a sort of pounding. Okay, so here is the pod that I took into. So I took it into Substance Painter. That pod. So I took bit by bit into Substance Painter, and as you can see, this is quite a good program that you should really get into if you haven't, if you're modeling, because it's really quick to make textures. It's quite rough here, the texture is rough, but I try not to be a perfectionist with that, because if I'm making an image, then I can edit it, in Photoshop. So here's the smart material. So basically what I did is used a smart material, and I saved one, so I made that's kind of one I made, and then you just drag it onto the layer. You can do loads of other cool stuff like paint over the top with particle effects. So particle effects are somewhere down. Oh yeah, particles. So really cool stuff like that. And again, it sets up nice materials for you. Scrolling back, it does look quite good with the chrome underneath and the paint on top. So then after that, one tip is that when you get as a newbie, if you're a newbie in Substance Painter, you just have to bake the textures first, because if not, nothing works. Because when I first started using Substance Painter, I thought it was rubbish, because I didn't realize that as soon as you bring your models in, you have to bake textures, and that's when you get all the smart materials working and stuff like that. So now I'm taking it to Blender, and many people might ask, why am I using Blender to render when I've got 3dsmax? Well, it is 2015, so the new versions of Max that I've tried, they use the Arnold renderer, but I'm really quite into the how we can use open source software, especially Blender, because it's capable of really good stuff. So I used to be a bit snobby with it because it was open source, but it's just started to get so much traction, especially it's starting to get more use in industry now. For example, I think the end credits in Wonder Woman were using Blender, and then having discovered some tutorials online, so there's Blender Guru, and then also one I like is Gleb Alexandrov created Shrimp, so really entertaining videos by him, and basically really good. It's really capable of doing good stuff. So this scene is completely lit with an HDRI background, and to be honest, I find the HDRI setup in Blender a lot easier to do than in 3dsmax. So all we do is just go to the node editor, and then we make sure we're in the environment, and then we've got the environment points to the wrong one, worlds, and then we go through all of these. We set up nodes so we're able to rotate the panorama. These HDRIs are from something called HDRI Haven, which is good because you can get free HDRIs and donate to them. And then what I've done is I've mixed it. So I've mixed one with another and you can use different blending modes there, like in Photoshop. So let's just bring this up. So if you can remember from the first video about this, I was going to have lots of sort of architectonic buildings, and it's weird the journey you go on, because sometimes you think, oh, that doesn't look quite right, that's not quite right, that's not something I could get into. Whoops, I just pushed things forward and something fell down. Whoops. Anyway, so you know, that's what I can do. Sorry as well, because I don't have my main microphone here, because I left it down in Devon. I'm actually back at my flat today in Glasgow, which is nice. I haven't been back here for a few months. It's my base of operations, but I'm doing a contract down in Devon at the moment. So anyway, yeah. So and what I'm doing is, you can see a person back there. Don't worry about that. That's going to be in the pod. But what you can see, it's quite tricky to come up with a composition that really sings, as it were. So I'm spending quite a lot of time moving these around, trying to get, you know, a good composition I'm going to render out. Then when it's rendered, I'll do some post-processing, you know, curve editor, where you edit the colors, get it to sing, and then what I usually do is do some what I call tradigital elements. So I do some drawings, and then I do put them usually down in the black part. If I'm doing a widescreen, I have black letterbox way in the black part, and also in the Photoshop I was looking at putting large lettering sort of overlaid in it somewhere as well. And also I'm going to put some decals, as they're called in the real life model world, just over here and here. So that'll probably be a 5, that'll be a 4, that'll be a 3. So it kind of tells a bit of a story. We've got people inside the pods that were made in Make Human, which is a free program, and that's basically it. So I'm not going to do any videos on this one after this, but what I am going to do is going to do another imaginary city, another series, and it's going to be very big projects. So if you're liking these imaginary city development works for the 3D universe, the next one's going to be a excuse me, a big one, especially because now it's nearly January the 1st, which you know, January can be a pretty rubbish month, or it can be a good month depending on how you frame it. As a kid, I always used to be sad when Christmas ended, but now I use January as a positive thing, that you can make good projects and get on in life. So that's basically it. So if you've got any questions, as I say, Blender's quite a complicated thing to get into with the rendering. It takes a few online tutorials and things, but I'd really recommend looking into it. Especially it's got new material system called the BDSF. It sounds dodgy. The BDS, yeah, it's the BDSF shader. It sounds like some weird thing. Yeah, principle BSDF. That's right. So that provides you with, you can basically make lots of cool materials using that, rather than having loads of nodes. And you can see here the nodes are basically, this is how I've imported it from Substance Painter. So you've got the substance material, and we've just got it to, it's quite simple, it's a bit laborious. So we've got image texture, base color, image texture, that one's non-color data, and that goes to metallic, so that's the metallic texture. So what happens is you export this, export textures, and it does 1, 2, 3, 4 textures that we use in this. It's got some other textures, but I've forgotten what they are. Is it height or something? Yeah. But we're just using the normal map, the roughness, metallic, and base color. So it's a really good way to get, easy to get your models into Blender as well. Your textures from Substance Painter as well. And I think someone's made a plugin which makes the workflow a lot quicker. I think it's about £9, so that's worth looking into as well. As I say, it's the tool. It's not really, well, it is the tool, but don't be deterred if you can't afford really expensive stuff, because I was going to look to start using a commercial renderer, you know, something like £50 a month, but I'm really keen on looking at Blender's render, and as you can, you know, there's loads of good people out there that use the Blender render, and the new version 2.8, they're making a real-time thing called Eevee. It looks amazing. You should test that. I tested that, and it looks pretty good. I'll probably test this thing as well. On the imaginative side, then, yeah. So basically, I wanted some buildings in the background, but I've just taken it to minimal. So I've basically got these sort of radar antennas, just simple cylinders, and I'm going to put a light on that in post-processing. Let's just do a quick render if you're still with me. Sorry this is dragging on a bit, but I like to give you lots of information. So I'm going to render it. As you can see, it takes a while to render. Okay, those white dots there are called fireflies. You have to do things like increase the samples to get rid of that. Yeah. Gosh, I feel better today. Yesterday I couldn't even get out of bed. Today I feel a bit better. It's not very good on a Boxing Day. Just I actually tried to do this on a Twitch stream, live streaming, but it was dragging, so unfortunately I've just recorded it off non-live. It's looking all lovely. And what I've done is added some post-processing. Sorry about that man floating in the background. As you can see, you've got some nice glare post-processing that you can add as well, and then that man's going to be away. So that's the end of this series on this particular city. But as I say, I'm going to do a big city next week. From next week, to start January with good things, and you'll see the final version of this if you're watching this after the 27th of December. You'll see the final version of this on my blog, jamesableart.com/blog, or on my page, www.3zuni.com. If you're interested in following the 3Z universe, you can sign up on 3Zuni or my newsletter, and you'll get updates. And what I'm going to do in 2018, I'm going to basically make a lot of products. Well, I'm going to start developing products to do with this universe. So on the blog, you'll see it has micro stories on each one, and then there's an image, and all the stories blend together. I'm going to basically, in 2018, I'm working on a product that's going to involve all this, so it's quite exciting as well. I'm shifting the product idea around, to be honest with you, at the moment, because I want to get the best. When you make a product, you want to make sure it's genuine, something you really like doing, and it's a passion, but you also want to make sure it's going to sell. And if not, you don't need to do a product, you can just do some artwork, and then if it sells good. But the whole point of a product, it's like, you want to sell it in units, so I can make money for myself, and also reaches the maximum amount of people, because I really believe what the imaginary city stuff is really useful for people and inspiring as well. So thanks very much, and I'll speak to you later. Any comments and questions, let me know. Subscribe to this channel, James Able Art. You can follow me on Twitter, James Able Art, and you can also follow me on other things. Stop saying stuff. You can follow me on Instagram. It's James Able Art again, and that's it. Bye for now. Have a good one. Have a good New Year's Eve. Bye bye.